Hi, everybody. Welcome to Why Ukraine. I want to thank everybody who watched my very first show last night. I really appreciate it. Can't tell you how much. It just makes me feel good to know that there are people who care about Ukraine around the world. So we're going to go through the news, and I apologize if I'm a little bit downbeat today. I just didn't sleep worth a damn last night. I made the mistake of looking at my phone, and somebody made a comment on my channel that just pissed me off for some reason in the middle of the night. I should apologize to that person because I actually said something kind of snarky and deleted the comment, but whatever. Yeah, so it's official, man. The counteroffensive, yay! The counteroffensive has begun. It's sad for me because I'm not taking part in it. Maybe someday. But everybody knows this. It's not any special news. What's, I think, much more important is, of course, what's not being said. So we're going to get into that real briefly. I'm going to try to be quicker. Somebody told me last night that I spend too much time on one subject. Well, too bad. That's what I do. But here we go. We're going to start with our maps. And I think that there are lots of other channels that talk about maps. I just want to give you just kind of an overview of, kind of Ukraine, where it is in the world, kind of set the big picture here for you. And just notice all these little dots on the map, things that are happening. Things are happening, and the thing that is happening on this map is that, and that goes for the deep state map here as well, is they're not reporting everything right now. Okay, it's actually the Russians, the pro-Russian military bloggers who are revealing Ukraine's victories as they happen. But we're going to talk, a little bit about that. Of course, I hope everybody knows about the awesomeness that's happening in Belgorod region. That's in the northeast of Ukraine. So north of Kharkiv, east of Sumy, as they say. And notice that on the deep state map, there's not very much marked there, but we know that there's a lot going on. So, this is OPSEC, right? This is silence, for the sake of security. Again, Live UA kind of has things pretty toned down here, and the same is true, there are some other areas on this map, let's say, that we know things are happening, but they're not showing up on the map. They're not being reported, which, hey, again, that's a good thing. But know that things are going on. So everybody was waiting. Oh, and I feel like, man, I feel like I started doing this at exactly the right time. Like, hey, right when the counteroffensive is starting. I mean, I can't be in the counteroffensive yet, so the second best thing is I get to talk about it on YouTube. Yeah, so again, deep state not showing it. So let's go on to the news, the Ukrainian news, okay? And the Ukrainian news, Ukraine Forum, I talked about that last night. They do, I think their government Ukrainian government control, but they do a pretty darn good job of reporting the news in a really straightforward way. Not always translated as well as it should be, but look at what they say here. Russians suffer losses on Liman, Kupiansk, Bakhmut axis. Ukraine's military Spox. I don't know what Spox is. I guess I'll find out. But so Liman, Kupiansk, and Bakhmut. Well, let's look over here at the deep state map. Okay, so where's Kupiansk? Well, that's here. That's in the east northeast. Okay, so that's Luhansk, Bakhmut is down here. So they're drawing all the attention over here. And I'm sure there's some real battles happening over there. It's just interesting. But then we got a little something curious. Strong blast occurs in Azovstal area near Mariupol. Okay, so we can pretty much say that was probably Storm Shadow. This is, I believe, the second or third of these that have happened. I'm losing track. You've heard of the term defense in depth? Well, this is offense in depth, right? But it's a very short story. You know, almost no information in this story. I wonder why. Okay. Anyway, that's the government talking. Here's an independent newspaper. Ukrainian armed forces advanced 400 meters. I don't know. Hey, all right. 400 meters in Svatova. Now, Svatova again. Svatova is in the east, over here. Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, right here. Also, nothing is marked on the or on the live UA map there. Not really anyway, but that's Svatova. So that's in the east, east northeast area. So all this stuff is being reported up here. Yeah. 400 meters. Woohoo. Now this is interesting. We'll kind of move on from that reporting or lack thereof. But here we have Kharkiv authorities are mulling evacuation of people from border areas. So, that tells you that the stuff that's happening across the border with Russia in the Belgorod area. Remember, we go back to our maps here, and Kharkiv is, at the bottom center of this map. Belgorod is where the red things are. And we know that all along this line, from the top of my screen down to Volchansk, where the green is, there's different battles happening all along there. And the fact that the Kharkiv, authorities are thinking about, moving people out of this area shows that, hey, it's better than what the Russians are saying. The Russians are saying, I don't know if you saw this, I don't have this report up here, but the Russian authorities are saying, yeah, we're just going to evacuate. We're going to give everyone 6 hours. This is what they announced. They're going to give everyone 6 hours to evacuate along the border, and then they're literally going to just destroy the towns. Now, a lot of people said, oh, that means they're going to nuke their own cities. I don't think so. No, they're going to do what they normally do, which is, what they did to Mariupol and what they did to Bakhmut, is just to level the town. So it's a scorched earth, except it's their own earth. And that's somehow going to stop the Ukrainians. I don't think so. But it shows you the difference in terms of how much the Ukrainian government values human life versus the Russian government. So yeah, this kind of goes on here in Ukraine. I have to tell you, I'm seeing, just as I've been traveling back and forth the last, I don't know, couple of months across Ukraine for various reasons, a lot of infrastructure improvement. This is a bridge that was just rebuilt. It was destroyed in the fighting. Just to give you a sense of where that is, this is on the Sula River. So if we zoom in here, we can see Kharkiv, Sumy. I'm just going to say Sumy. Yeah. So this was, pretty close to the edge of, some of the fighting, and it was destroyed by a missile, or probably a missile. Just so you where that is on live UA. Let's see if I can find it here. It's I believe it's this river. Oh my gosh, James, don't get lost. It's this river right here that comes down through from Sumy down all the way down to the Dnipro River. Okay, and so it faces, and Ukraine continues to work on improving its infrastructure. The trains have gotten better. The trains have gotten better in the war. I took a train earlier this week from Kiev to my home, and they put in new trains going, like fast trains, not the old style trains. It's great. Okay. This is pretty interesting. I'm sure that you're going to hear about this in many other places, but I just thought I wanted to bring it up. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius reconsidering his position. So even Germany's going to send fighters to Ukraine. That's huge. That's huge. I don't know if anybody saw it. I hope everybody saw it. This video that went viral of Olaf Scholz arguing with a crowd of Germans. Oh my God, it was just so beautiful. They were all calling him warmonger, and he was like, no, Putin is the warmonger, you idiots. I mean, I never thought I'd see Olaf Scholz grow a pair of testicles. Shocking things happen. Anyway, so it looks like all of Germany is finally, growing a pair. Anyway, moving on. This kind of stuff is still happening. This is let's just take a step back. You probably heard, maybe not, that Germany is doing this investigation into the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Apparently, they are very close to arresting someone. They did a DNA test on the child of the girlfriend of someone who allegedly was on a yacht, who is now in the Ukrainian army. I should have that news article up, but I'll just assume that you saw it somewhere. Anyway, they're actively investigating the angle that Ukrainians blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. Others are investigating if the Russians did it. I actually don't care. I don't care who blew it up. I think it's great that it was blown up, whoever did it. But this is talking about this article, but here is talking about the Russian fighters. And there are two groups of Russian fighters. And so Belgium is saying, oh, Belgian-made weapons could end up in the possession. Are they actually in the possession? That's the question. So I guess that's what they're trying to find out. Again, dude, EU, seriously grow a pair, man. We need to face what's really happening here and what's really gonna happen, which is that NATO is going to have to, at some point, occupy some part of Russia. That's what's going to happen, because when Russia starts to fall apart with this civil war that's happening, not just with Prigozhin and all the various warlords, but with it's going to get crazy for 5, maybe 10 years. Somebody's got to secure the nuclear weapons. Okay, this is like worse than monkeys with guns here. This kind of bullshit about, oh, are they using our weapons in Russia? Yeah, and you should thank them for doing it, because it needs to happen, and the sooner the better. Those guys, the Russian Freedom Legion, they need to get in there and topple the government as fast as they fucking can. And we should be helping them in any way that we possibly can. I've already applied it. I sent them a message. I'm like, hey, take me, I'll help. There you are. And this is linked. So Ukraine is doing the world's job here. Ukraine has a network. We've known this for a while, right? Ukraine creates a network of agents in Russia, gives them drones, according to CNN. Now, I have a little conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory is that the very first incursion, two weeks ago now, of the Russian Freedom Legion, it was kind of weird. It was like, was it just a stunt for TikTok or something? Why did if they could have gone to Belgorod, why didn't they? All of that type of thing. My theory is this: I think that there were, and I think it's safe to say this now, but I've had this idea for a couple of weeks. I think that there were, Russian rebel agents, whatever you want to call it, inside, just inside the border, just inside Belgorod Oblast. I think that the Russian Freedom Legion drove in with all of their cars and vehicles and stuff packed with drones and lots of other equipment that the rebels inside of Russia, for some reason or another, could not get their hands on. I think that they handed them off as quickly as possible to those agents inside Russia, their pals, their allies inside Russia, partisans, whatever you want to call them. And those drones and that equipment, whatever it was, left with the first the first wave of civilians who were escaping Gryveron and these areas along the Belgorod border. That's what I think. And I have a suspicion that the drone attack on Moscow last week, which we all cheered for, was actually some have said that those drones were not launched from within Ukraine, but from somewhere within Russia, and that's how they got around the layers and layers of air defenses to get to Moscow. It's also interesting that those drones, I believe most of them, did not have any explosives in them. Maybe that's somehow, I believe that those drones were the ones that were given over to certain agents in Russia by the Russian Freedom Legion when they crossed over the border. So I think that that's what's going on here. Okay. Kind of related to that is there's great news article here. Again, this is a government, I believe, like I said, this is a government run website, government, regulated, whatever. Ukraine's black box project causes over 700 million in damage to Russians in May. Let's see, black box, a joint secret project of the main intelligence directorate, GUR, that's like I guess the CIA of Ukraine, of the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, the Come Back Alive Foundation, which you should donate to, by the way, if you haven't already. I'm going to put a link in the description for that. And blogger Igor, what they pronounce their H's with G's and their G's with H's, whatever. Igor Lachenkov has already caused more than $700 million in losses to the Russian invaders in the last month alone. Yeah, these things are connected, people. No detail in this article about what happened, other than just to say, hey, Come Back Alive and Igor Lachenkov, they're kind of giving them credit. They're saying, hey, donate more to these. So I'm telling you, donate more to these groups, because if you want to, the way to end this war is that Russia falls apart completely, ceases to be a nation and becomes, 10 nations or 100 or whatever. So Come Back Alive Foundation, links in the description, people. Man, there's so much more that I have to talk to you about today, and I'm going to have to save it for tomorrow. I'm exhausted. And wow, so much is happening and so much that we, can't talk about, but hopefully I'll finish all the rest of this tomorrow, and I'm sure there'll be more. Thanks for joining me, and Slava Ukraina.